Setup Hell is a safe and fast strat for the Kayak Sequence in Madubu Gorge. The theory behind it is actually very simple. If we start at the exact same spot and go the exact same way, we'll always get to the exact same destination. Now, starting at the exact same spot sounds easy, but it's actually kinda complicated. If we enter the kayak in save games from different playthroughs, we'll notice it behaves very differently. In my first save game, it barely moves at all. In my second save game, however, don't do that. So I found the values in memory that are responsible for this offset. I'm reading them as two 4-byte values. They might actually be 4 2-byte values. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter for this strat. To use this strat, we have to make sure those values are consistent before entering the kayak. When we start the game, the values are 0 if you just started the program, or whatever they were before you returned to the main menu. They will change once Lara is exposed to underwater currents in temple ruins and Ganges, and they won't change until she's exposed to an underwater current again. To use Setup Hell, you have to play London directly before South Pacific. This means you can either play Nevada, then London, then South Pacific, or alternatively London first, South Pacific second, and then Nevada at the very end. Once you get to Lud's Gate, enter the UPV. This will reset both values back to 0. They will stay at 0 throughout Lud's Gate and City because Lara is not exposed to an underwater current again. When you start Coastal Village after defeating Sophia, make sure to immediately hold the swim button until you almost bump into that wall. This will keep the values consistent despite the underwater current. There are no further currents in the rest of Coastal Village or Crash Site, so welcome to Madubu. Now, one thing I didn't know before this tutorial, jumping over an underwater current also changes the values, but the change is minimal and the strat will still work. At least it never failed for me, and I did it in many runs. So you do the beginning of this level and make sure to drop down to the kayak as I do. You don't actually have to grab this ledge. I think the rotation and the wall in front of you, that's important. Once you're in the kayak, you perform the 55 paddles I wrote down in the description of this video. It's called Setup Hell for a reason. After reaching our destination, we hold roll and wait a bit before we get out to the right, because otherwise Lara will paddle to the right and that will basically kill her. I have an audio clue for this. If you listen to the background music, there is this kind of drop. After that, it's safe to get out. There are 2 jumps ahead. The first one is really easy, the second one is kinda difficult. I have a setup for this. Just make sure you perform it very quickly and already hold crouch while hopping backwards, otherwise you'll drop into the water and die. The setup is faster than saving and reloading, but slower than just doing it setupless. Now, before entering the kayak again, we'll be exposed to another underwater current that can potentially mess up our position. This is why we can't continue the setup until the end of the level. At least not without losing time, but there's a short sequence in the description of this video that will help get you past this very narrow gap. Now, as I implied, this can fail, so just be prepared for it. It rarely does, but it could. Now from here on it's all manual again. Have fun with the crocodiles and just end this horrible level. Can we just please remove the file from the game? Thank you. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.